Hi, this is Jamie Franklin, curator at the Bennington Museum. Welcome back to our tours of Vermont Utopias, our current exhibition and closed bid auction in which we've invited 25 artists that live or work in the state or have personal or historic ties. Giving a tour and looking at the objects. Today we're going to start with Michael Oatman's Design for Leaving. Michael, though he lives and works over in the Troy area and teaches at RPI, he grew up in Williston, Vermont, and his family has ties actually here in Vermont. Michael created this piece, which has this wonderful title using historic vintage anagram tiles. It says, "Designed for Leaving by 12-year-old Michael Oatman is remembered by same man some 44 years later." And Michael tells the story about growing up in Williston, Vermont, and inventing the VASA, or the Vermont Aeronautic and Space Association. And there's this idea of being able to launch Vermont into space. And I've paired that with a number of objects here in this last section of the exhibition that dwell on issues of climate change and the idea that if our climate degrades to such a degree that we can no longer live here, we might actually have to send ourselves out into space. This is a painting by Gail Boyajian called Travel Alert, Rising Sea Level, in which he imagines the idea of climate change, talking about historically, Lake Champlain was once underwater and maybe in the future it will be again if we don't address issues of climate change. Kelly Holt, these are her experimental photo collages. Kind of this idea of kind of a hazy, it's difficult to know what the future holds, but these hazy ideas of images of the railroad, thinking about transportation possibilities, and the natural world and the landscape, farmers fertilizing their fields. Hopefully we will still have a beautiful natural world that farmers can make a living in here in Vermont in the future. Another wonderful piece, this one by Maggie Randall, called part of her psychic alchemy series, and this is called A Walking Cape for the Planthropocene. Planthropocene is a play on the term Anthropocene, which is the current period in which we live, in which humans are dominating and kind of causing the environmental ills that we're now dealing with. And this is the idea of kind of plants taking over and having a greater role in the future of our world. And she's designed this beautiful cape in which she's hand-painted. There are something like 18 pockets in which you can gather these little leaf totems, which are these small hand-painted leaves with eyes on them. The idea of capturing thoughts and ideas as you walk through the forest and learn from the natural world around us to help preserve it for the future. Another wonderful piece that kind of meditates on the issue of climate change and the natural world is this beautiful oil painting by Kathleen Kowal called Beginning of February. This is a scene which she says she's often seen and looked at and thought about painting. And this is an image called Beginning of February, but as people who live in Vermont know, it's rare to have a unsnowy scene in February. And that's, again, this contemplation on the idea of climate change and what we might be losing if we don't act now. And then finally, closing up these series of tours of Vermont Utopias is Corin Robbins' diptych, Stories of the Gihon River, Eden's Blue Nile. Corin, who went to Bennington College, and created this painting on the left based on an artist residency up in Johnson, Vermont. And the Gihon River, which is an actual river in Vermont, but it's named after a river associated with the Garden of Eden, historically speaking. And again, it's this idea of looking at the natural world and the environment around us here in Vermont and really thinking of it as utopia, as this beautiful place that connects to our past, but we need to preserve for the future. And again, just before I close up, remind everybody, you can see all of these objects online. You can bid on them online, or you can come here and visit the exhibition in person. We're open Friday through Monday, 10 to 4. Bidding is going to be live through Monday, December 21st. And we encourage you to bid in person, online, and really support the artists and the cultural community that makes Vermont and Bennington the wonderful place it is to live, and support the artists as well as the museum to do what we do moving forward. So thank you.